Hi! Welcome back to Cirque de Joy. I'm Joy and I'm supposed to be making circus videos, but this was my first year trying to do that and my Aerial Silks place shut down and I couldn't figure out what else to do, so I just didn't do anything. And I have a plan for 2021, but I'm going to discuss that in a lady video. I'm going to discuss that in a later video. Today, I'm talking about my top 5 personal highlights of 2020, which there aren't many to choose from, and I'm going to talk about my 5 New Year's resolutions for 2021. I always set 5 New Year's resolutions because I figure I'm bound to get at least one of them correct. I don't know, that's just how my brain works. I'm probably overthinking. So let's start with the highlights. These are ranked in no particular order. It's just kind of chronological how they happened. So let's start with the beginning of the year. Near the beginning of the year, my husband and I had just put our old house on the market for sale, and we decided to make things easier on us by moving into our mother-in-law's house because the pandemic was already going on then, and we have an almost 3-year-old son. He was 2 years old at the time, and we have a cat, and we decided we'll move us all into the mother-in-law's basement so that we don't have to rush to get our son into the car and out of the way every time somebody comes to view our house, and we also don't have to worry about someone accidentally letting our cat out because our cat is very timid around people, and we could just see them accidentally leaving the basement door open too long and him just running out the door. So we moved into her house, and I just, without thinking, started using her laundry detergent. I was like, oh, I'll save some money and just use her laundry detergent. Well, a couple weeks in, I started itching down there. Sorry if it's too much information. And I was like, oh, maybe I have a yeast infection or something. And so I started treating myself like it was a yeast infection, and it helped, but it wasn't really helping. And I was also breaking out on my hands, which I had originally thought that I was just having really a hard time taming my dry skin from the winter. But then what really was like, oh, this isn't normal, was that I kept getting this like red itchy rash on my arm right where the cuff of my sleeve was touching my arm. And I was like, wait a second, it's the laundry detergent. So long story short, I discovered that I'm very sensitive to fragrance this year, and I have been an ongoing struggle of switching all of my products that touch my skin to fragrance free, because it's actually pretty hard, I found, to find fragrance free products in a store. Like, they exist, but the stores around me carry very few fragrance-free products, and I've kind of had to hunt from store to store looking for fragrance-free products. So if you like a video on the products that I use now that are fragrance-free, let me know, because I need some ideas for my 2021 videos. So the second thing that happened that I would call a highlight is that we moved into this new beautiful house, and I love it, and it is a mess, I know. I'm getting to that. It's part of my resolutions. The third thing that happened was that it's kind of bittersweet because my Aerial Silks place shut down because they were a very young company, and they had just this year started turning profit at the beginning of the year, and then COVID happened and they had to close, and when they opened back up, it was very limited, and they just couldn't keep up with what the pandemic was doing to them financially. So they just closed down and like went out of business temporarily. Hopefully they're hoping to like start up again in the future when things are safer and looking better for them. But because they closed down, they were selling all their stuff, and I bought my own Ariel silk. It is back there in my closet, all braided up, gold. Very nice. I love it. The fourth thing that happened, it's kind of been an ongoing process over this year. It's actually started maybe last year or the year before. I can't remember when. But this year especially, I've really buckled down and tried to take care of this thing. I have had undiagnosed and untreated mental health issues for like my entire life, and so I've been trying to seek more answers. I've already been treated for depression. I am pretty sure that I probably have ADHD. I did do a psychological test like a week ago, and in the self-evaluation everything was spot on, but in the actual test, which is what they look at, I focused really well and I got too many right answers. But the problem with it was that it was a puzzle, like memory game, and I really like memory games. So when it started, my brain was like, "Ooh, time to focus. It's a puzzle." But I'm thinking about getting a second opinion because that was the only test I took, and I know that there are many different tests that you can take for psychological testing on many different things, and I think that just wasn't the right test for me, and I need to do further testing to figure out if I'm really not if I really don't have ADHD or if I do. Because when I have researched the symptoms of ADHD, and especially what it looks like in women and how it can like cause depression and anxiety, which I've been dealing with, like the more research I do on ADHD, the more I'm like, oh my gosh, if I have ADHD, my whole life would make a lot more sense. Like, more so than just having depression and anxiety. Like, I don't remember always feeling anxious. I remember always having trouble with a messy room and doing weird things when I was a kid that don't make sense unless I have ADHD. Like, or some other mental health issue that I need to be evaluated on. Like, the things that I did when I was a kid that don't make sense, to me, look like ADHD now that I'm researching it. So, but right now I'm on depression, antidepressants, and I'm on anti-anxiety medication, and I'm hoping when I talk to my provider next, I can talk about getting a second opinion on ADHD, because I still am pretty convinced that I have ADHD. But if I take several evaluations, several tests, and they all say no, you don't have ADHD, then I'll give up. But I am still pretty sure that I have ADHD. I have 2 older brothers who have ADHD. My mom is like borderline ADHD, so like the odds of me also having ADHD is pretty large, pretty big. I have a pretty good chance of having ADHD based on my family history. Fifth and final thing that has also been kind of ongoing throughout the year, So for a few years now, I've been noticing that I have this random cough after I eat. And when it first started, I was like, oh, it's just a random cough, it doesn't bother me. But with COVID going on, I was like, well, sometimes I continue coughing throughout the day after I've eaten certain things, and I don't think I should really be walking around Target while I'm trying to shop coughing, because even if I have a mask on, because then people are gonna be like, oh, is that girl sick? Like, is she coughing and getting germs all over the stuff? So I was like, I should probably try to figure out why I'm coughing and what's triggering it. So I was like, oh, maybe I have a dairy allergy, because dairy seems to be a big trigger. Well, I gave up dairy for a while, like completely cut it out of my diet, until I was able to talk to my doctor and be like, hey, I think I need to get an allergy test for dairy. I got the allergy test. I'm not allergic to dairy, but then I was like, well, I do have this reaction to other things that I eat, so maybe I have acid reflux. So that's what I'm thinking now. I haven't discussed this with my doctor. I do have a bad habit of like self-diagnosing myself, but it's because I don't like to waste people's time. Like if I have something ailing me, like just a random cough, and I can't think of an explanation for it, I know I'm gonna go on the doctor and they're gonna be like, well, how about you keep a journal and write down when you have the cough and what you ate and everything like that. And I suck at keeping journals. So I was like, I don't want to do that and waste somebody's time, and so I'll just try to figure this out on my own, and then when I like think I figured it out, I'll go to the doctor and be like, I think this is what's happening. So now I think I probably have acid reflux, and I'm probably just gonna, I have my physical in the spring, and I'll probably just wait till then to bring it up because I don't want to make an extra appointment because of COVID. Alright, now on to my 5 New Year's resolutions. I don't know what I'm doing. Number 1 is to clean and organize my entire house. Yes, I have a plan. So, because I think that I have ADHD, I've been looking up resources on how to cope with these things, and specifically, how the heck do you clean and organize your house with ADHD? Because my problem is that I look at this mess and I immediately feel overwhelmed and don't want to do anything. That's like my head is about to explode when I look at this mess behind me. Number 1 priority of 2021. Number 2, remember how I said that I suck at writing in journals? It's because I always forget to write in them. So I decided to buy myself this journal that is a 5-year question a day memory journal, and I have a habit of buying journals and then not writing them because I think they're beautiful and pretty, and I want to write in a journal every day, but I just forget about it. But I'm gonna make it my goal to write in this journal every day of 2021, because I feel like if I make it a habit to do it every day, I will keep doing it. And then eventually when I finish this journal, I can move on to bigger and better things that might actually help me if I have ADHD or whatever is going on in this brain. Because something's going on in there, and I gotta figure it out. Number 3, which has been a hard one for me to do. Reading has been hard for me to do since my son was born, especially. Like, I have a really hard time managing my time between myself and like taking care of myself and taking care of my son and cleaning up my house. I have a really hard time like managing everything. So, but I found that it's really helpful for me to sit down at night and read a book before I go to bed, instead of spending hours and hours and hours on my computer, staying up way too late and not getting any sleep and feeling like crap in the morning. So I've worked out a nighttime routine for myself where I read it in the evening, and my goal for 2021 is to read 1 book for each month of the year, so that's 12 books. And if I do more than that, then that's great. But if I do less, I'm gonna feel very guilty. My 4th New Year's resolution, I don't know why I'm doing this, but it's fun. My 4th New Year's resolution is to get my splits. That was a goal for 2020 that I did not complete. I tried. I really did try. Like, I was gonna make a video that was all I want for Christmas is my splits. And I was gonna and I started in November, and I downloaded this app that was 30 days, get your splits in 30 days, and I was doing it. I was doing a really good job. And then it snowed, and I was shoveling, and I was kicking the shovel under the snow with my leg, and the next day, my psoas was sore. And I was like, well, I probably shouldn't stretch my splits because it might aggravate my psoas. If you don't know what your psoas is, it's that muscle that's like right underneath your hip bone. Yeah. So that was sore. I was like, I probably shouldn't stretch my splits because that's in the area of the tendons and the muscles that support my splits when I'm doing my splits, and I don't want to aggravate that. So I didn't stretch my splits for a few days because it was sore, and then I went back to stretching them, and then the day after that, my glute on the opposite side of my leg of the psoas that was hurting was sore. So I was like, well, I guess I'm just not gonna get this done because Christmas is in 3 days, and I don't think I can make up the time that I've lost not stretching my splits. I was literally like this close to the floor. But when I took 3 days off, I went from here to here, and I can't make up the loss of progress in 3 days. So I was like, well, I guess I'm just gonna shelve this idea and start again in 2021. So that's what we're doing. So 4th New Year's resolution is to get all the way down to the floor in my splits. Both sides and the middle. Like, I want to do a pancake. You know what I mean? And 5th and final New Year's resolution is to get a COVID-19 vaccine. And that's all for today. Thank you. Have a good day. And don't forget to like and comment and subscribe. And I'll see you next time when I will explain my plans for videos in 2021. I have a plan, and I'm gonna follow it because I'm gonna get more organized in 2021. And while my videos are not part of my house, they are part of my life, and I'm going to get them organized. I'm gonna make a video. I don't know how many. I can't make promises in this video. I'm gonna write it out, make a plan, and then I'm gonna make a video about what my plan is. Okay? You got it? All right, bye. Have a good one. See you next year.